Jackie.
Coral.
Jackie, come out from behind there.
Okay, I'm coming. I'm running. I'm here. What's happening? How are you?
I'm great, actually.
Yeah? Enjoying the sun these past few days?
I mean, I see it from inside.
Me too. Although it doesn't look like it, I do. Occasionally.
You look radiant.
You look radiant. Oh my goodness.
I'm wearing a onesie.
I
think that's important to talk about, to discuss. So I have a surprise for you, Jackie.
Do you? I'm scared.
So actually, no, you know about it. It's a surprise for everyone else. So Jackie, remember when we had Alicia Young on the show and Jordan Canning, and they were talking about their storyboards?
Yes.
So Alicia Young has these wonderful storyboards, as promised. I'm going to show you them. So, when you're just framing up your shots, you're a director and you're like, if only I could really see what it's like to have some figures in here. I just wish I could have some people in the shot to show what it looks like.
Those are her figurines that
maybe there's three people. That's always a tough one. Maybe there's a group and you want it to look like this. We don't know what this is from. Alicia can tell us.
Yeah.
And we'll post what the answer is.
Could be Baroness. Who knows?
Yeah, we don't know if it's Baroness or New Eden or what.
If one of you recognizes these,
this one I like a lot. This is Jackie and I getting ready for the show.
Exactly, stretching it out.
Okay, that's enough
of that. Very exciting show that we have today.
All right. Okay. On with the show.
On with the show.
Hey guys, welcome to Skillin It, the hit live stream that won't quit.
Nope.
So we are going to talk to two people today. Jackie, are you excited about them?
I'm extremely excited.
I had several retweets, which hasn't happened to me in 100 years. So this must be a real hit.
Yeah, shout out to Film Twitter.
My Twitter was blowing up.
Yeah.
3 tweets.
Yeah.
That's actually amazing. So our first person I want to tell you about. This is very difficult, like I told you, because I'm too close to these people. They're wonderful people that have helped me a lot in life and films and film life. So I'm very thrilled they're doing this. So I want to tell you about Lauren Grant, who not only is just like a beacon of wonderfulness everywhere she goes and has endless time to help everyone somehow, despite being a wonderful mom and having a great life. She does a lot of different things. Both of these producers don't really silo into one type of production, which is going to be great for us today, answering all your questions. So I saw Lauren's short doc, Take a Walk on the Wild Side, recently at the Paradise. They did a screening of Toronto films. It's an incredible film. She won a CSA award for that film. And she's in post-production on a couple of movies that are really great, and can't wait for those to come out, called Sugar Daddy and The Retreat. So I'm just wonderful, wonderful directors that she's working with. And to prepare for this, you and I watched a wonderful movie called Picture Day.
Yes, for those of you who are OG Tatiana Maslany fans, I highly recommend checking it out. It's on CBC Gem now for free.
Yes.
And honestly, for me, it was the perfect thing for me to watch during quarantine right now. Made me laugh, made me cry.
It's just been great. And Sasha, films that are set in Toronto.
True.
And so Lauren's here. We'll tell you lots of stories about Lauren. She's wonderful, and she's going to answer your questions. And our other pal who's here is named Dan Bekerman, the one, the only. If you guys checked out the hit film The Witch Ever, which just won Sundance and everything else and destroyed everything, then you'll know that is Dan's company, Scythia Films. And I actually want to ask them how they named their companies. That'd be a good question.
Ooh, yeah, that's a very
They both have really wonderful, company names that are very sort of personal to them. So like Lauren, Dan is a creative producer who, brings his own passion to his work. He has a lot of different types of films as well. It's not released yet, but I was watching a film of his called Youth Unstoppable, which he's been working on for over a decade. And it's such an accomplishment. It's about youth, the youth movement in climate change. It's just such a wonderful film, and it really shows so much about Dan and his commitment to working in this industry and trying to make things better. So he'll have to tell us where to check that out eventually. And I don't know what else to say about Dan. He's made something like 20, 25 films in the last 5 years. He's super busy, but someone else who always has time for a meeting or a chat, and makes a lot of time to help the community too. So did you watch Ready or Not? Is that what
I did. I
was too scared.
I love a good thriller. If any of you have any good thriller recommendations, let us know, because I'm the thrill-seeking queen. And Ready or Not was fantastic. It's on Crave right now if you guys want to check it out.
Nice.
I also watched Come to Daddy last night, which was really fun and thrilling. So, and that's on video on demand. So
nice.
Do your Googles.
We'll find them, actually. Another thing I did is went back and added Hubert and Maya's links to the YouTube description from previous week. So, of course, you can watch this live with us right now and comment, hopefully, all your questions. But we're always going to put up everything live on Instagram, YouTube, and it stays up on Facebook there, too. So, without further ado, should we pop these guys in?
Let's bring them in, Kara.
You think they're ready?
Yes.
Should we pop in, Lauren? Pop. Oh, Dan, pop.
Yeah.
Are you guys horrified by those intros? Because we love you guys. You're great.
I don't think I was aware I would be able to, I don't know, hear it before I'm done. It's embarrassing for people to talk about you when you're watching backstage.
Too bad.
Only good things. Only good things.
So, welcome. What's going on with you guys?
What's happening?
In our houses.
Yeah. Oh, you're in your houses? That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Well, I know you guys are really busy, so we're super excited to have you here. I actually am curious about how you started off and why are your companies named what they are? Let's start there. Lauren, you go first.
Okay. I know a lot. I heard you say that. I'm like a February birthday, so I really debated naming my film like Aquarius Films or something for a while. And then this was like years ago. My company's incorporated in 2008. So I remember having drinks with someone and they're like, it just feels so neutral. You don't know what it's about. Like, what do you care about? What do you want to say? And what I kind of like about clique is, it's of course like that idea of like, it can be such a negative word, but I like that it was like, could be negative and positive, and that you can make your own clique. You can make your own positive space. And then I went to an international market and realized I wanted to click, and that's not what it's called. That's my fail, but there we go. I just have to put up with it.
Soon everyone will know your name and your world domination. I think it's really great. It's a really strong name for sure. I have something here from Andrew Rosen. Andrew, get out of here. Go
for
away.
You, Andrew.
Andrew, send us a picture of yourself. I'll put it up. I bet you have a terrible beard right now. Andrew Rosen, another producer, just here to heckle, I guess.
The suit jacket is counteracting scraggly.
People are loving it. Oh, look, Emma Wardle. So, Dan, Scythia, see how I said it right?
You sure did. So, Scythia, ancient region that most people don't know about, that covered most of Eastern Europe. But then a ship, ocean liner, was named after that region, called the HMS Scythia. And my dad's family immigrated to Canada on that ocean liner. And then my dad learned to build boats, and he built a boat and called it the Scythia, and looking for a company name, called it the Scythia, and our logo is a boat. So that's the
nice.
That's good
version. Yeah.
I like that. They're both very personal. It's so nice.
Yeah.
So I have another question for both of you before we dive into a bunch of things. Do you remember your very first day ever on set?
You go, Lauren.
They like these origin stories, by the way.
I think it would have been when I was in university. My high school had like a TV program, but I didn't do it.
What were you into in high school then?
I had a horse. When I was this is how my mother will watch it. When I was 6, I told my parents I was going to save up to buy a horse, and they're like, "Okay, if you do that, we'll help you." And when I was 14, I was like, "I'm ready." So I didn't do anything else because I did that. My probably first research set was like the summer before my last year of university. I worked on a movie that premiered at TIFF actually called Ill-Fated. It might be a lesson. Like it was and we all were, I'm sorry if you can hear my kid, there's a whole plan to wrangle the 4-year-old so you would hear her in the background and I hear her up there.
It's real life, baby.
It's real life. We're at home. And I worked in the art department, but there was just like me and a production designer. It was a really small guerrilla shoot, and I didn't really know any better, I think, and I just did everything. You just did everything with some really lovely people. And then during that year, actually, someone brought me to like a real set, like a big set, and I was like, "This is very different. It's very controlled." So. Yeah, it was a bit random. So I feel like, the indie guerrilla filmmaking was definitely my first experience.
That's so cool. And how did you feel? Like, did you feel like, I'm at home now? Or were you like, this is crazy? Do you remember?
Well, I knew I didn't want to work in the art department.
The hardest working department, I'll put it out there.
Oh, yeah. But I went to UBC and studied film, and it was this funny thing that if your team's of 3, and if you were the editor, you had to produce and do location sound. So I thought I wanted to be an editor.
It's very random.
I know. If you were the writer, you were the director. If you were the DP, you did post sound. But if you're the editor, you like produced / like you all kind of produced the movie together, but you like produced and you did location sound. So I can do location sound, or at least I used to.
Can you? That's good. So do you want some jobs off of this? Everyone respond about jobs for Lauren as a.
I don't know if I'm very good at it. It's been a while. But yeah, and I got into editing, and I think I loved it, but I also realized I didn't want to be in a room with a lot of time by myself. So
yeah, fair. How's this working out for you then?
So I got into that, yeah. And then there was a big documentary series for CBC called College Days, College Nights by John Zaritsky. When I was a 4th year, all the film students basically got credit to work on the film, and I filmed and I logged footage. And through that, I got my first introduction to a company, and they hired me as a producer's assistant. And I started there.
That's great. Dan, what did you do? You're probably also boom-upping for Lauren, or what?
So I was 15 years old, and my story starts with David Cronenberg and ends with a urinal. Maybe those things aren't so different. Right?
You have the floor.
So I didn't like have family in the film business, but one of my dad's friends was an actor. And through that and I started getting interested at 13 in film, when I think I was like just with a home camcorder kind of thing. I just got interested. So I was telling everyone that I wanted to make movies. And so my dad's friend got me on set when I was 15 of M. Butterfly, David Cronenberg's M. Butterfly. And so I met Cronenberg. It was all I was at that point already a fan of his, so it was super thrilling. And I even helped build the Great Wall of China.
Whoa.
On a movie set.
Was it like this big?
No, it's sort of between that size and the real. And so I had to do that, and I watched a little bit of filming for the first time, and then the urinal part. Had to go to the bathroom where there were urinals.
Oh no!
I was utilizing one of them.
This is a family show. And
then next to me, a person showed up. It was Jeremy fucking Irons.
Really? I've never heard this story.
And yeah, you could say that the rest is history. No. Yeah.
So funny.
So yeah, so then I did actually end up working a little bit as summer jobs when I was in high school, and on film sets, and then like, you know, in art departments, actually, like doing different art department stuff, and so yeah, it was super exciting, man. Like when you're in high school and you get to work on movies, like that's probably where I developed my schools for fools philosophy, and just wanted to go straight into.
Did you go to film school?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay.
See, you can do it all different ways. Everybody.
That's good.
Yeah. Wow. I think like one of the things I love is there's so many different paths to getting in it. I mean, that was pretty epic.
Very unique story.
Version. That's interesting. So I have a question here from someone named William. His picture is a orange guy. How can a first-time director convince an experienced producer that they should be the one to direct the film? I want to sort of frame this too, and because we've had a lot of questions about pitching, and if people pitch to you, what are you looking for? But also sort of like, how are you choosing your projects if someone comes to you with something? And in this case, you know, if there's somebody who's brand new, who's coming in, how are you looking at those projects? And how are they convincing you in their materials or what they're telling you? If that makes sense.
Yeah. So like part of it, I don't know, Dan, don't you think it just depends on the project and the scope? Like I think, you know, Picture Day and Wet Bum were writer-director projects. And I think with those you have to sort of, it's like it's part of the deal. Like my process is like pretty straightforward, sort of, is that it's like, do I like the script? That's what we're believing in and basing everything on. That's the first one, because if I don't, then that's an easy pass. And my company's focus is on women and underrepresented communities. I want to see movies that I want to make movies that I want to see, that I want to show my kid, that I can't watch really easily. And secondly, do I like the people involved? And to me, if a project came to me with a director attached, it would be pretty rare for me to say, well, I like the project, but not the director. I probably just wouldn't do the project if I didn't believe in them or wasn't inspired by them. And then can I see a path to getting the movie made? Because we, as Coral and I discuss a lot, work a lot, especially in development. And so I need to know that I can make it. So I guess the question really is like, well, if you're a first-time director and it's a giant, epic, you know, movie, that's probably a problem, but I probably would pass because there's not a path to getting it made. Yeah. And if it's like a small movie, then, you know, like it depends on the budget and the size. I feel like there's a lot to unpack in the question. I'm gonna let Dan talk.
That was good. You were like mid. Are you sure?
Are you sure? It's like it depends what the project is. Because I also think, you know, something we've all talked about a bit is that challenge of finding the right producer for your project. And when I first started in the business and I worked for a production company and I learned my way there, you know, I remember thinking like, oh, I wonder why they don't do like newer things or smaller things. But eventually, you know, those projects, you don't get paid very much or at all, which is like a global problem and a totally different webinar. But, you know, at some point it's like there's also realities change as you get older. And I think also the desire, you know, every movie's different, and I like producing because you learn something new on every movie, but there is an element of it is there's a lot of steps you're repeating, and it has to be inspiring. So, you know, Picture Day was a $500,000 movie. I don't really want to do that again, partly because, and not saying I wouldn't, like something will, I'm sure, inspire me and I'll do it because it's never and ever. But, you know, there's a level of, oh, I've had that experience and it was good and challenging and I'm really proud of the movie. And so what's the next challenge? So I think sometimes it's like, maybe the question isn't how to get an experienced producer, but like, how do you find your people? Like, to me, it's about finding a team who believes in the project. And if you're going for a producer who usually makes $10 million movies and you have a $1 million movie, like they're probably not the right fit, because I also think how you make those movies and the mindset you use and the creativity is totally different. And if you're not doing it, you lose those skills a little bit.
Or if someone's sending you a movie, Lauren, that doesn't fit into the mandate of your company, then it's obvious that someone hasn't even taken a cursory sort of look at what you're doing. And I think a lot of us receive, you know, sort of a blanket sort of pitch from a lot of people. And I have to say that doesn't usually work. And it's very good to just take a few minutes and look into, you know, most of producers' work is public. They have websites, they have stated mandates. You know, really look into who you're looking to work with. And at the same time, maybe if it's a very tiny thing, maybe there's someone in your sphere already who, or yourself, might be more likely to be the right producer for your project. Because I kind of think a lot of people who are listening are probably more able than they think to jump in and produce.
For sure. For sure.
You know,
well, it's true. And that's always, to me, the quickest turnoff is, you know, I love your work, here's my script. And it's like kind of the opposite of anything I probably would ever make. And it's hard because I would say after Picture Day and Wet Bomb, like I was only sent coming of age movies. After Rad Girls, I was only sent. So it's that hard thing if you don't want to just like go to people who've done it before, because sometimes it's like, well, I just did that. I want to do something different. But then there's also people who like only make a certain genre of film, and so don't send them the opposite. You know, I've been sent like, yeah. So I think it's doing your homework. It's the same as our job as producers. When you're reaching out to a sales company, it's like you should be reaching out to a company that does genre movies with your rom-com. Like they're gonna write you off because that's ridiculous. You didn't do the basics. Like, it is still an industry. Like, we all have websites and information. And as you said, like Picture Day, Wet Bomb, they're on CBC Gem for free. Like, you can see my work. You can know what I make. And also, I really appreciate when someone says, like, you know, I really like your work. Maybe this isn't a fit for you, but I wanted to reach out. And it's like acknowledging, like, they might not fit the mandate, but there might be space for it. And then it's like, I'm happy to take that more seriously, of course.
I wanted to make the point as well, though, that for people who do know of a producer that they're like, okay, actually, yeah, you are the right person for this project, or I think you are.
PSA.
But
those at CBC Gem, it's awesome. Go there.
This is just a promotional CBC Gem.
Sorry to interrupt, Jackie. Go ahead.
No worries. That, yeah, maybe like cold emailing is not the best strategy to do it. I think if you really have done your homework and believe that person is the right person for you to approach, there are other ways of doing it. Going to different networking events, like reaching out to people that you know could be mutual friends or past colleagues to this producer, and asking them for advice on that. I don't think you should necessarily give up if you think that that's the person, but also don't bother them. It's a delicate balance, but yeah, do your homework. And if you think that that person is the right person, figure out ways of getting closer to them without bothering them in a way. And then when the time is right, you can approach them with your project.
Dan, how do you like to be approached for that kind of thing? Like, I'm sure you get a lot of different pitches from different people.
Yeah, it's actually been like an insane amount of work for my colleagues and I in our company to come up with a system for taking submissions. It's like the amount of hours we've spent working on that system, and I actually think we have a pretty good one now, and it's working pretty well. Like, we get a lot of submissions. Like, we got I would say probably 2 to 5 a day.
Wow.
And I do at least look at something, like, we will consider everything. We will. It means that we're fairly slow. And, you know, there are some projects that are fairly obvious fairly quickly that they're not for us.
Yeah.
We are not genre specific. People think because The Witch is our most successful film that we are horror people. I like The Witch, but, you know, and I would do another horror, but it's not all about horror for me. So, you know, we'll look at anything. Anyone can submit. And I largely agree with everything you said, Lauren, that like, you know, it should be about the right producer for the project. You shouldn't necessarily look for just the biggest producer. That said, you know, I do think, you know, I'm out there looking for that needle in the haystack, right? And, you know, to vaguely continue with the metaphor, if you've never done anything but you bring me uncut gems or something, like, I'll go bananas and I'll be like, I don't care if you're 12 years old and this is your script, like, we're in it. So
I'd love to see Uncut Gems starring a 12-year-old.
Yeah. So
he's just like, so
yeah, there's always a possibility. It's like, do keep in mind, so in terms of what you can do to convince us, it's not, you won't convince, like, it's not like if you ask 3 times, we'll say no, but if you ask a 4th time, then we say yes. Like, it's not like that. It's not like, like, a lot of asking the same question a lot of times will not necessarily be productive, but you can always try. But yes, I think that there's also very good options of, you know, finding someone who's like more at your level, because maybe it'll be a better fit for them, because the right project for you at the beginning of your career might not be the right project for me for various reasons, some of which are financial and some of which are taste. But, you know, so I would say there's always a possibility, but it's not like it's the only option. It's funny because, you know, like, LA is notorious for, like, everyone can get a meeting, like almost any meeting, and you go your first time and you're like, whoa, this door is opening, I'm on my way, and everyone's like, you know, putting a top hat on you and saying we're like going straight to the top, and, you know, and for some people they do, but like for most people it's just that first round because everyone's checking everyone up and everyone's saying, oh, do you have something amazing? If in case you do, I don't want to miss out on it. And that's true of the film industry in general, including here to some degree. So, like, there will always be a shot. But if you don't get, like, Disney to do your movie, you absolutely can work with someone who, like, either do it yourself, although I would recommend do it with friends. Like, it's like literally writing and directing and producing something all on your own is probably not the best idea, I think, in most circumstances. So, but yeah, that kind of team is likely the right one if you're doing your first projects. Yeah.
All right. So I have something for you guys.
I was also just gonna say, because it's like, it's funny because it's also like find your champions, because like I don't take unsolicited fully submissions just because like I feel really stressed out by how slow I am to get through things. And also when you're shooting something, you're just like not reading on the stuff. But I always tell people, like, you know, if you're repped and stuff, but that I don't want to close the door. So it's like, or if we needed something, because I teach at the film center and I'm doing the Whistler Lab, and then I'm open to it. And it's funny because Sugar Daddy came to me. It was sent to me by Kelly McCormack, the writer. And I had a 4-week-old, and I was like, I don't know what it is. I was like, I'm so sorry. I literally don't know what day it is. I can't. And then it ended up going to a few producers, and it went to Allison Richards, who recommended, she sent it to Lori, a good friend. Lori Lisinski in Vancouver, and was like, I think you really like the project. Lori read it. And I think Kelly came to me a few times. She's like, oh, Dan Lyon had recommended you from Telefilm. And I was like, I literally might start reading things when she's 6 months old. Like, I don't know. I'm just like surviving at the moment. And Lori read it and then called me and said, because she said to Kelly, who would you want in Ontario as your producer? And she's like, well, hi. and Kelly said me, but she's like, but Lauren's not reading scripts. Well, Lori and I have been, like, we met on my first company that I worked for. Like, we've known each other for many years. And Lori called me when I think I was in LA for AFM, but not attending AFM. And I think Lennon was like 2.5 months old, and she's like, you should read it. You're going to like it. And so I did. And so it's like, there is a level of persistence, but it also, like, it was a great script.
Lori.
And I read it that night. And I was like, oh, I didn't want to take anything on, but it's so good. So it's like, there is a thing, like, you can find your champions. You can find, if you do think somebody who maybe you don't know well is good. Like, someone reached out to me recently, and they said, who had recommended me is somebody who knows the kind of stuff I would make. And I trust them to not just be like, here's a random, like, you know, misogynistic horror film, which I would never make, and I still get sent. And I'm probably not going to make this. Like,
I think it's important to know we all talk to each other too. It's a kind of a hard job producing, and that's why we're all willing to do these kind of things and help each other out. It's not as competitive as one would think, because it's like we're all sort of pragmatic, and we've been here for a long time, and we've all worked together, and we will share scripts with each other if we think this is much more a Lauren thing, or this is too big for me to handle. I'll send this to Dan, and it seems really cool, you know? So I agree. Okay, guys, guess what time it is?
It's a test.
It's time for our mystery guest to come. I have selected someone who's going to make you both so happy. Are you guys ready? It's Rosalie.
Hey, Rosalie. Wow.
I'm just about to start drinking. You just got me. Thank God.
That's hilarious.
Rosalie is in Mexico because she's the smartest woman in the world. She started working in her career in Sault Ste. Marie, which is, I don't know, the opposite of Mexico, and now splits her time between then and there and here because she is a genius.
Well, and also because I was here when the quarantine went down. I couldn't go home because I couldn't see my family. But also it is wonderful. Thank you. So great to see you all.
You too. What a good surprise.
Good and clean and fresh and nice. My shower wasn't working, so sorry. I had to wash minutes before.
Rosalie, why don't you tell us how you know these two cats?
These two cats? Oh my God.
Tell us something that
Glenn and I go way back to Edwin Boyd, Citizen Gangster.
Yeah.
What? Edwin Boyd /Citizen Gangster?
I still call it Edwin Boyd.
Me too, because his name was Edwin. So he came in February to Sault Ste. Marie, and I'm pretty sure they cursed me when I had taken the production team around to show them. And of course, Allison and Nate are like, "This is amazing!" And Dan gets her, and he's like, "What the hell?" He was line producing, and he was like, "Does it ever stop snowing?" I'm like, "I don't know. It's February in the Sioux." I still remember day one. It was like minus 26 or something, right outside that Al's Pub, Dan, remember?
Right.
The trucks. He's like, not at all. It was my first, Dan. A girl never forgets her first.
See? She's the best.
And then we did quite a bit after that, Dan and I, including The Witch.
Yeah.
Heard of it? I don't know.
Rosalie has a wonderful energy, as you can all see. And one thing I really admire about you is you started as this kind of local fixer, and because you were so invaluable to every producer that came up, you are now have your own company producing your own films. And
with my partner Jennifer Punn, we have Edge Entertainment, And we also service on the Edge Enterprises side. But Lauren and Jen and I met at the 2014 Bell Media Producer Accelerator Lab, which was the first, and we were 3 of the first 8 and 3 of 5 women in that group of 8. So that was a long time ago.
Nice.
And we were all like, and then we were all like deer in headlights, like, what is going on here? They're like, it's a 6-week intensive. They weren't kidding.
I haven't done that much homework since like university. We had, like teaching myself PowerPoint so I could present my study of my fake TV show based on a book. It was intense. It was great though. I still talk about it.
But this is what you were saying, Coral, is that, you know, there were 8 of us in there, all sort of helping each other, and whoever had sort of a stronger finance background would be like, no, that finance, that's never going to work. And then the creative ones would be like, yeah, this is going to happen. And then I was sort of the northern token. They're like, what would the NOHFC do? How much can we get for this finance plan? So we really all did exactly that. But I think we were all terrified, not to speak for the others, but I think we were all terrified. Yeah.
Also, I think it speaks to that not competitiveness. I don't know any producer who feels competitive with other producers. You know, It's like everyone has their own thing and their own thing they want to do. It's so refreshing. Yeah, that definitely was like, you'd be like, I don't know this part at all. Like, can someone?
Yeah. Like, oh, but yeah, that's how I know these 2 wonderful, smart, driven, kind people.
And what's going on with your projects, Rosalie? Although I secretly know.
Well, how much time do I have? Didn't you tell me I was just a guest?
Yeah, you're getting kicked out after this. So
just
quickly short.
Well, Jennifer and I have what? Say that again.
I said keep it short.
Yeah, tell us what you're doing, but
no, I'm curious how everything's going. I mean,
Jennifer and I have a slate of 8 projects now, expanding to about 11, and a couple of them we're co-creators on, so we're excited about that. Television. Cool. Finally, Bell Media comes in handy. And so we do that, and it's going well. Of course, we've pushed 2 that should be in production this year, a co-pro or not an official co-pro, but a partnership with a Mexican company, and then our wholly Canadian one, Cascade. We don't feel we're going to go into production this year at all. That's not going to happen. So we're working on the creative part. We're doing what we regularly do. We're applying for money. We're talking to people. We're reading scripts from other writers. And then we're also having a lot of calls with people who are still interested in servicing up north. And our goal there is to expand so that we can have a team up there all the time and service more efficiently and with more, oh my God, what's the word? This COVID-19 is bad. Consistency. Holy geez. Okay.
It's easy to
I wish I had Jennifer in my ear going, bro, the word's consistency. So we're looking for that. So consistency on the service side and pushing the envelope for ourselves and our writers on the creative side.
Well, good for you. You're always so full of energy and such a
great
lady. And tequila. Yes.
Yeah. And it also wards off viruses.
All right. Well, I thought this would be pretty fun to say hi to you, and I was right.
You were very sweet to invite me.
All right. Well,
I've been listening.
Take care of yourself out there. We'll see you back here when we're back.
Take care. Love you guys.
Bye, Ro. Wasn't that the best, you guys? Okay, I have a question from someone.
I had no idea who it was going to be.
I know, right? I wanted to pick somebody you would both love. So here's someone who asked this. Mm-hmm. I've heard that immediately post-COVID, smaller budget independent features may have an advantage over bigger budget typical studio features. Do you agree with this assessment? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Dan and I have been talking about this a lot, but yeah. I don't know.
It's a challenge. It's a challenging one to make the answer succinct. I think the answer is that whoever's saying they know that for sure is not telling the truth, because nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Yeah.
Nobody knows really what's going to happen. There is certain sort of logical threads you can follow. Like you could say that yes, smaller films have, maybe a smaller crew so they could fit into governmental guidelines more easily. Mm-hmm. Maybe you need less infrastructure. On the other hand, smaller films face something that the studio movies don't face, which is a major problem with lack of insurance right now. So that could mean that it's the opposite is true, is that the studio films can go forward, but because there's no solution for COVID coverage in your insurance, smaller films can't. So it could kind of go either way, depending on how things evolve.
Jackie has some great questions. I'm going to let her jump on in.
Yeah, I'm glad Rosalie mentioned the Bell Media Lab, because I had a question about labs for budding producers. We've had a number of producers on the show thus far, and the one commonality is that a lot of people have gone to different labs and programs, whether it's CFC or Berlinale, which I just learned how to pronounce today.
You did it.
I'm on my way, guys. I'll be there next year. Yeah, I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on what it was like applying earlier on, what you think set you guys apart from other applicants that led to you being accepted, and also what you learned during those programs versus what you learned doing the job. You know, what are the aspects of producing that those programs can offer a lot of clarification in, but may lack in their clarification for other aspects of producing?
I've done, well, we've both done, we met at Tip Studio.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Actually, I think we met once before that in Bruce McDonald's office. And I can't remember why we were both there, but anyway. But yeah, we did Tip Studio. Dan and I met during Tip Studio more officially. I've done a lot of labs. I think it's a twofold thing. I think one part, again, it's about your peers and coming up with your colleagues. You see that when you look at, you know, even someone like Martin Scorsese has worked with his same editor for decades. Like, people do come up together and work together forever. So I think there's something with that. And there's something about, I feel like in our little prep conversation, it's like that idea of like, you don't want to make every mistake while making your movie. You'd like to learn maybe to do some of this, not when it's like the fire is burning. And I think there's something about labs. I think it's both the training the labs give you, but it's also the people you meet. And to be honest, I think the people you meet is even more important than the training. The training is super helpful. We also did TAP, Transatlantic Partners, together. I feel like they overlapped around the same time. But I also think you have to be persistent. I applied for Berlinale 3 times.
So did I. I got in the 3rd time.
I got in. You know, and so there is so much rejection in this business, and I'm not suggesting you get a tough skin, because I don't have a tough skin. I'm sad whenever my films don't play somewhere I want them to play. But I also think you have to know to like kind of move on too. So yeah, I think the labs are helpful, but it's also about the people you meet. I went to the CFC in 2006, which was great. I lived in BC at the time, so it was like, for me, I wanted to come because I really wanted to learn the industry here, because so many decision makers are here in Toronto, and when I was in Vancouver, I didn't know that many people. And TIFF, and I'm applying for a program right now. But I think it's helpful. But I think it's a good network, but you also have the network with your colleagues and the people who teach at the program. Like, I get invited back often to speak at the CFC. I'm doing the Whistler Lab for the 2nd time as a mentor, mentoring 2 producers. So I think that stuff's helpful.
How many credits did you have under your belt when you had applied for, when you actually got into Berlinale? Remember?
I went into I hadn't made a feature yet for Berlin. I made a feature that fall. Transatlantic Partners I applied twice for, and the first time I had a picture day was in post, and they said, we think it's better if you come reapply next year. We want you to have gone through the whole process of a feature being out before you come, because the film wasn't done yet. But yeah, I think I got into Berlin. I produced Savage, which won a Genie Award with Laurie. Lisa Jackson's short film Savage. Also, if you Google it on Bravo Fact, it's still on YouTube. It's 6 minutes.
We'll put it up.
Yeah. I'm so proud of that movie still to this day. And I think we'd won the Genie by the time I got in. It had premiered and it had played the year before at Berlin Forum Expanded. So I think that helped. But I literally submitted, I didn't have that much new work in a way. And I submitted this like a different scene from a 5.5 minute movie and I got in. So I think it, I don't remember. I did Rotterdam Lab too, which I thought was great. But I can't remember if I applied more than once.
I wanted to throw it over to Jackie with a test case scenario. We asked for some pitches, and she's chosen one that'll also answer this gentleman's question, talk about first steps in financing in Canada. And did you have a favorite? Oh, look, here's some people saying hi to us, Dan.
Or say hi back to them.
Pierre and Annika.
Oh, hey.
Jackie?
Yes. So, we had some great submissions. The one that made me laugh out loud. The title is Radzinger, and the log line is a 40-year-old woman with a psychiatric disorder falls madly in love with an industrial meat grinder.
Okay, I'm gonna type that up and put it on a banner while Jackie talks about it.
Yeah.
I need a refresher to think about. We're talking about.
You say it one more time. I need that red back.
I'll repeat it. So
what's it called again?
It's called Radzinger. I don't know what that's in reference to. Maybe the industrial meat grinder. But the log line is a 40-year-old woman with a psychiatric disorder falls madly in love with an industrial meat grinder. So if you got that in
that old chestnut.
Yeah. One of those classic here.
It's a recycled plot. We've seen it every day.
Girl meets meat grinder, girl.
Okay, so let's say it's a $2 million Canadian first feature. You've got Leanne Balaban. This is actually her telling us this.
Yeah.
You guys know her. She's gonna write, direct it, and star in it. So she's got a bit of credibility. She's got a lot of credibility. Sorry, Leanne. She's got tons of credibility. She's had some previous work that's somewhat acknowledged, and you're gonna go in for the Telefilm Regional Fund. You're gonna skip over Talent to Watch. You're gonna dive in. And you're going to be applying to the regional office that's in a territory near you. So let's say it's an Ontario movie, and you guys can decide what the budget is. And then how would you put that together? Let's say you go after everything, like the most typical structure possible.
I want you to know that Dan and I took this very seriously, and we're texting each other finance ideas.
So we thought this would be a great idea to do a bit of a case study. So hit us, you guys. I bet it's going to be great.
So clearly, it's a project for Disney. And, no, I mean it's a classic make it independent style idea for sure. It's not something most studios would take on, and that's why independent cinema exists, because there's stuff left behind from what the studios would do. So, I mean, first of all, being Canadian, I'm sure everybody here knows that being Canadian brings a number of opportunities that you wouldn't have if you weren't Canadian to finance an idea like that. So first step is good. It's an original idea. That's like when I'm looking for stuff, that's my first criteria, more than like genres way down the list. Originality is for sure my first criteria. So I think that it has that going for it, obviously. The first step, obviously, it would be to get a producer on board. And so you've got to decide, like, what kind of scale do you want to make it? Like, this movie's not going to be $5 million. It's not going to be $4 million. It's probably going to be $1 million or 1.5 at tops, probably, because the sort of radicalness of the idea is going to probably scare some money away. So, and that's okay. That's fine.
But also, Anne would be she would be a draw.
Yeah, absolutely.
She she's known.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know her.
For sure. So yeah, it might not need to be. Whereas if you had someone with no history in the business, you might need to make that for $100,000 and do it on credit cards or the Telefilm's talent to watch, or
we're like
shaking your head. No, don't watch.
Credit cards.
Guys, money is money.
Credit cards aren't real, Dan. Don't you know that?
Dan, can I borrow your credit card real quick?
I would personally take whatever. Well, I mean, there's some 100,000s I wouldn't take, I guess. But yeah, no, I think if you didn't have the history in the business and that was your idea, you'd probably make it for $100,000. And that more often than not is like your own money, credit cards, unfortunately. And I did do that for my first movie. Little bits of grants you can get here and there. So yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, with more of a history, you might want to build it up to like 1 or 1.5. And then you can do that pretty well within the Canadian system. That's still below the level where you need to start looking internationally for money. So you can do a nice $1.5 million. But should we have a little finance plan? That
Okay.
Here.
Bring up the finance.
You guys are amazing. Okay, do you know how to
Become prepared.
so prepared? I love this.
I'm gonna hit share screen.
Okay, and then I'll be able to pull it up, I think.
Share the screen.
I'm
Share the damn
so
screen.
proud of this ticker.
Can I also say, and I don't know the answer and I'm too scared to open a different screen at the moment, has Leanne directed a short?
Oh, I don't know.
Or just, are we imagining the person's directed a short? Like, because that obviously makes a difference.
Let's imagine that.
Let's imagine that that someone's done a short and it's, it's been at some sort of festivals, or it has some festivals behind it. Mm-hmm.
All right. So behold the finance plan. Can you guys see it?
I'm gonna put it up and add the boom.
There.
Oh my God, no.
No, we're in the vortex now.
No, Dan, no.
Where'd it go?
No, you're in the vortex. That's your screen.
Oh, this is my screen. Can people see this?
Okay, now we're gonna try again. Okay, ready? Everyone, don't go in the vortex. Oh, there it is.
There we go.
See it?
Oh, Wet Bum.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a movie Lauren and I produced together.
Can you make it bigger?
Yes.
I think we should have called it mystery movie just to so no.
Just scroll up past that part.
Yeah, it's too late. Sorry.
This is why.
I don't think making it bigger works because then you can't see stuff.
Yeah, sorry. All right, that's fine.
So basically what you're seeing here, and I have deleted some sensitive things, so $1 million movie you got here, and we think we have a good project that has a good Canadian director, and we think Telefilm would like it, so we go to Telefilm and say, hey, Telefilm, can you give us $250,000? And they say yes. And OMDC, we asked for $100,000. The federal tax credits are 50, provincial is 169. Then we get to defer a lot of our fees, which unfortunately a lot of producers have to do on a lot of. That's why we're always kind of, scraping by, because we often have to put our fees back in to make everything work. So we did that, blah, 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 a bunch of deferrals of fees. And we had a pre-sale to a broadcaster, Super Channel, not a huge one. And then we had a piece of equity, $200,000. So that part, can you guys all see this, or am I just talking?
Yep.
Yeah, we can see it. Oh God. Okay, good. Okay, it's coming back. It's coming back.
We're back. So that 200,000 piece right there, the equity piece.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the rest is easy. It's not easy. You have to apply. You have to make a good case to Telefilm. They have to agree. Same with OMDC, or it's called Ontario Crates now. the tax credits are, you know, automatic if you qualify. So that theoretically is the easy part. The deferrals are painful, but technically easy. The broadcaster, I mean, that's challenging because there's very few broadcasters you can get in Canada. There's very, very few, like 2 or 3.
I have this question as well, which is relevant to this section. Hot tips?
Sorry, just to quickly finish, but
sure.
But the 200 piece is the truly hard part, and that's often the part that, you know, makes a $1 million movie not happen, because you can't find, you can get all these sort of, you know, governmental support pieces, and you can defer your own fees and do all that. The hard thing is finding something that's not in those categories, that's just somebody's money. And that is hard for those of us who are not independently wealthy or don't know a ton of people like that.
Yep.
It's always a challenge, and it's still a challenge for me, however many movies in. But it's part of producing, frankly. Even if you want to do a lot of Canadian movies at that $1 million level, eventually you're going to want to do bigger ones, because it is hard to make a living doing the smaller ones. And that's knowing how to do that, knowing how to speak to that sort of bigger money source of private money is a big, difficult skill. It was incredibly difficult for me. I had no facility for it before I started doing this work.
Can I ask you what is offered to that private equity? This is this question from this guy.
So,
Go ahead.
No, you go for that.
I was just going to say, I feel like equity, and I remember when we were in TIFF studio, Cassine Elways came in and talked to us, and because the US model is sort of like, well, then, you know, 25% tax credits, 25% gap, 25% equity, and 25% pre-sales, which is like very simple, but not. But I think that equity is like, again, it's the same with the previous question about get a distributor on board, the same with the question about getting a producer on board. It's like you have to find people who believe in it, the concept, you as a creative. I kind of find equity tends to be, this is what something Cassian says, and I agree, in the industry, like 3 to 5 years. Because a lot of people, there's way easier ways to make money than invest in movies. It is incredibly risky. But people do it when they've already become financially successful in a different sector usually. And they're kind of also looking for the experience, because they're what you are partially selling is like our glamorous, you know, the Cannes, the Sundance, the TIFF, the red carpet, the whole experience. And maybe the set visits, whatever. And I think to me, whenever I've attached equity to a project, is you need to know what they want and if you can deliver that, because you have to be able to deliver everything else except for a guarantee on recoupment. And so it's like, what is the thing? And so I think that's also why they get out of it, because after you've been to a couple film festivals, you start to like, there is a bit of a, you know, there's a sameness to it. And if you're not recouping money, eventually you might, you know, stop playing with that little pool of your fun money and do something else. But yeah, I think it depends, you know, on Sugar Daddy, we had a bunch of investors, all for not amounts to laugh at, but like smaller amounts. Wet Bomb, we had a single investor. And I think it's about figuring out, what are you selling? You know, what are they buying into? And so back to our case study movie, it's like, is that to invest in a known creative talent who is brand new mediums as a writer-director? Is that because they just like love the script and there's a sales agent who thinks they can sell this everywhere because it's so fun? I'm always really skeptical of people who want to invest in the film just to get their money back, because it's just so risky. And I want them to get their money back, and I'm going to do my job to the best of my abilities to push the movie, you know, to make the movie be pushed, you know. But yeah, it's like usually it's like EP credits, set visits, tickets to premieres, like the nuts and bolts of it is that kind of stuff, you know.
I think the core of it is like honesty, though. That's what, like, you know, allows me to sleep at night, and also what I think is the best path to actually getting someone to invest. Because there's not as much in Canada, but in the US, there's just a million of these conversations happening all the time. There's always like someone who says they want to invest, and then you meet with them and you talk with them, and it's like, you know, one of the ways that it doesn't happen is that people set up false expectations. So yeah, like to what you said about getting paid back, I mean, to me, it's just, you got to frame it honestly. So the honest way to frame any film investment is that it's high risk. So if you're dealing with someone who has a lot of money, they probably understand what a high risk investment means. It means they might not get it back. In fact, it's more likely they won't get it back, or there's a very good chance it will lose money. But it is true, or it can be true, that it can be high reward. I'm lucky to have had a couple of examples of movies that have paid back really well. Mm-hmm. And so I can credibly say it's high risk, but here's the upside if it were to happen. And but not glossing over the fact that it might not recoup. And I show them everything in the way of them recouping. Here's how you might not recoup. I try to anyway. I do my best to be very transparent about it, because it's just easier. And to me, it seems logical that that's what will actually get them to take it seriously.
Yeah.
Well, I'm traumatized to tell you we have to wrap it up soon. But go ahead, Lauren.
No, I was just gonna say, but also I would say the other part of their deal is they would recoup more than they invest, right? If someone gives you $100,000, they recoup their 100, maybe plus a premium, plus back end. Like, the point is that there's more. Upon success, they would make more than what they gave you.
All right, guys. This is so sad, but I wish we could talk forever.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing so many gems.
So many gems.
Some cut.
Some CBC.
Someone was asking if we could get a copy of that financial plan, Dan, if you don't mind sending it to us.
Yeah.
Why don't we scrub it a bit, and then we'll put it up.
Scrub it, and then we can post it somewhere.
Yes, we'll post it.
It is like 8 years old. It's not necessarily it's not hot off the presses, but it is actually a pretty typical Canadian $1 million structure.
Mm-hmm. It's good. I mean, sometimes it's nice to just see a template of something.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, that's it. We're going to say goodbye to you, and thank you so much, and see you in person when this is all done.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Bye. Jackie, that's so good.
Right?
We can never keep it on time. We're impossible.
I know. So we're on quarantine time. Technically, this could be a minute long.
So tell me about Jackie's Corner this week, and then we're just going to throw up who's next week, and we're just going to take off.
Yeah. So Jackie's Corner this week, I sat down virtually with Carol Nguyen and Aziz Zaramba. They are two filmmakers based in Montreal right now. You probably know their film if you went to TIFF this past year and saw the shorts programs. No Crying at the Dinner Table is their short documentary that premiered in TIFF.
Great.
And yeah, they've won all these accolades. And so I talked to them about what it was like producing the film. So that should be cool. And it's going to be up on YouTube as well as my Instagram. So you can check it there.
Did you talk in an accent this time or not?
I did. What accent?
Hello.
Yes. Anyway.
She's an actor, guys. I'm not.
I know.
Jackie, it was great. I feel like we've all had so many more questions. It's like
next week.
Figuring out.
Don't forget about next week.
Right. Next week, bit of a change of gears. It's going to be two cinematographers that we know and love, named Bobby Shore and Catherine Lutz. Head to head. We are not going to be able to get a word in edgewise, I have to tell you.
Camera to camera.
Look at this picture we have of both of them while we say goodbye to you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jackie.
Thank you, Coral. And thank you, Dan and Lauren.
Thank you, Dan and Lauren. Oh my God. Thanks for all your questions, everyone. That was amazing. So happy. And I know you had a bunch of questions, so we're going to figure out a way to maybe answer some more. Maybe we'll do like a written thing or something. We'll do something. So if you keep commenting or send us any messages on all the on all the socials and all the socias. We'll try and address some questions because I know this was a hot topic.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, look at that.
Gorgeous.
Smoking? That's not good.
Listen, he's a multitasker.
Okay, bye, Jackie.
Bye, Coral.